It's Founders Day. Hello and welcome to News Today here on your Journey channel Multi TV. This bulletin is also available on your Go TV channel 144 and your DSTV channel 421. Coming up, government attributes delay in financial clearance of teachers and nurses to an ongoing validation exercise to curb fraud in the system. We hear from Finance Minister Seth Terkper in a bit. Also ahead, African leaders charged to sever ties with the International Monetary Fund and focus on rooting out corruption. And as we mark Founders Day today, we tell you how the young in Ghana are drawing inspiration from the legacy of the country's first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. We also find out from you how well you know Ghana's first president.
Kwame Nkrumah was born in 1901, true or false?
1901. I have no idea.
True or false?
I can't tell. I mean, I'll definitely, maybe, I can't tell. I don't know.
Details of these and a lot more, including business, sports, entertainment, and some international news, all coming up in the next hour here on News Today. Stay with us. My name is Kwabna Chenche. Many thanks for joining us here on News Today. To our very first story this hour, and sever ties with the International Monetary Fund because it does not seek the primary interest of your citizenry. An advice to African leaders by law professor Patrick Lumumba. Speaking on the second day of the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Lecture Series at the University of Cape Coast, the professor of public law intimated that the solutions to the economies of Africa lie in fiscal discipline, reduction of deep-rooted corruption, and the adoption of homegrown approaches. Richard Kojunyako has more in the following report.
The Kenyan professor of law has not been the least happy with African leaders throughout his series. According to him, the African leaders, with the exception of one he singled out, are either engaged in one corrupt act or the other, or supervising them with impunity. Delivering a lecture on the economic reorientation in Africa, Professor Patrick Lumumba stated that Ghana and most of the African countries will continue to wallow in poverty, notwithstanding the abundant resources the continent is blessed with. This, he says, is as a result of the desire of many African leaders to mess up their economies and run to the IMF and the World Bank for solutions. Solutions, he says, are never available.
So in 1980s, we had the structural adjustment program. And it was not only in Ghana, it was in Kenya, it was everywhere. You had young graduates from American and European universities working in the IMF and Bretton Woods institution, experimenting the ideas in Africa. That is the tragedy of Africa, that young graduates and researchers who have ideas which they want to test will use Africans as laboratories and guinea pigs to test their economic ideas. And we Africans swallow it line, hook, and sinker. And that is why Africa has never realized our potential. If you remember, the Latin America was in a similar situation not long ago. But the Latin Americans took a solemn decision that they were going to liberate themselves from the chains of the IMF and the World Bank. And Chile did, and Argentina did, and Brazil did, and today they have lifted their country into middle-level economy. Many African countries are still tied at the hips with the International Monetary Fund, including your own Ghana. I can tell you that you will never get anywhere as long as the International Monetary Fund stands in your way. And I've always said that whenever you hear the IMF and the World Bank telling you that your economy is doing very well, you should be very worried.
The Kenyan law professor wondered why Ghana, that was blessed with a visionary leader in Dr. Kwame Nkrumah in the construction of the Akosombo Dam over half a century ago, should be a pale shadow of itself in the provision of energy to its people.
Ghana, for which Kwame Nkrumah had great expectation, generates no more than 3,000 megawatts for a slightly perhaps over 20 million people. Ghana which was the home of these ideas, has invented and exported a word to Africa, Dumso, Dumso. But Ghana is not alone in this regard. When one travels to Nigeria, that country with nearly 150 million inhabitants, with the largest number of PhD holders per capita in Africa. You go to Lagos in Nigeria, Abuja in Nigeria, Port Harcourt in Nigeria, the generators are alive and well.
Professor Patrick Lumumba also had a moment to spare on agriculture.
And it's not only the chicken that have to take that transatlantic journey. Even your fish must come all the way from China, as if we were told that fish no longer love living in the Volta River. Sometimes even bread comes from Europe. If you want your choice tomato and choice onions, sometimes they come from Europe. In other words, beyond the yam and beyond the plantain, we are importing everything. But yet African land is capable of feeding Africans. But our areas of intervention in agriculture, we still till our lands like they used to do in the days of Adam and Eve. We do not manipulate our land, we still use the hoe and depend on rain-fed agriculture, as if we had an unbreakable covenant with God that it will always rain on time. But I remember that the divine instruction was always very clear: go ye and subdue the world. Why have we allowed the world to subdue us? Why can't we have our land on irrigation? Today, if you ask any African who produces your seeds, it is Monsanto of the United States of America and is Syngenta, and I'm told Monsanto have now joined together with Bayer of Germany, and they are going to control. If you cannot control your food, you are dead on arrival.
Professor Patrick Lumumba will deliver the final series of the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Lectures later today and would be decorated by the university with honors. Richard Kwejonya, Joy News, Cape Coast.
Now, government has attributed the delay in financial clearance of teachers and nurses to an ongoing validation exercise to curb fraud in the system. Speaking earlier today on the Super Morning Show, Seth Tekpe said, much as government is committed to ensuring that workers get what is due them, abuse of the system by some persons has prompted the validation of workers who are to be put on government payroll in order to avoid the payment of huge sums of money to ghosts.
The very things that His Excellency was talking about, which are in his vision for the country, the transformation, you have to. So we had a three position: securing, the economy, doing a turnaround, and entering a growth phase. And some of the numbers I was pointing are in this context. For example, we had huge arrears of wages, about 3 billion. We have paid it down. We have seen, as a result of the backlog in education and health, some of it, emerging. But we also seen a lot of fraud. I'm referring to, your headline news item. For example, let me give you one quick example. When you give a financial clearance, for the recruitment of public servants. So I don't want to be specific, but let's say teachers, what we are seeing is that some of these financial clearance, which take effect from, say, January 2016, are backdated at the time of entry of the personnel records to, say, 2015. What it means is that you are going to be paying arrears, which you shouldn't be paying. And these are some of the validation exercises that, Honorable Kujetu Abdakwa was talking about in terms of the meeting.
That's right.
But, you have to do validation. we are bringing down the phenomenon of ghost names. We don't hear much about it. Crime then shifts to something else, and you have to always be, on track. So these are some of the things. And when it is important to position, I don't think we should put something like the themes, for example, in a manifesto. They are not something they are seen as promises and things that are. But for example, the things we are doing with GIFMIS, putting them all releases now, every release. When I talk about release, I mean the request for expenditure on electronic platform.
Okay. Making
sure that ministries, departments don't exceed their budget so that we have overruns.
Meanwhile, the recent hikes in food prices is being blamed on the economic shocks experienced over the last 2.5 years. Policy director of the 2016 campaign team of the NPP, Boache Jakun, had criticized the NDC government for the soaring cost of items. But Finance Minister Setekwe says the issue is one that can be attributed to challenges with commodity prices and the rising cost of energy, a situation he believes is currently being dealt with.
You raise the issue of KK prices and the rest. I think there's a policy element, which responds to this, which is that for workers in the private sector, that is why you do an adjustment, say, in the minimum wage. And for those in the public sector, you do adjustments in the base pay. The indices that I use, the basis for doing this takes a lot into account food prices, import prices, and so many things. In a period when inflation is going high, then sometimes it cannot, salaries tend to lag behind compared to, say, the period during the single spine era when we also saw more rapid increases, in workers' pays and things. So it's a balance. But ultimately, it is about making the economy stable. If you don't get your currency stable, that's why it is good, one, in the short term that we are seeing, let's say, cocoa board, and cocoa producers for that matter, our farmers, doing well. This year rains have been relatively good, but you don't have to continue, as we were discussing, rely on the old economy. You have to do things, new. You have to look at what other countries are doing, and try as much as possible, to also, move in that direction.
That was Finance Minister Setekwe speaking earlier today on the Super Morning Show with Inshra Ado. You're watching News Today here on your Journey channel Multi TV. It's also available on your Go TV channel 144 and your DSTV channel 421. We're taking a break. When we come back, we tell you a bit of an interesting story. And as we mark Founders Day today, we tell you how Many thanks for staying here on News Today with me, Kwabna Chenche Hiniboatin. Let's talk politics now, and with some 76 days to the elections, obviously, the campaign trails are pretty hot. The flag bearer of the opposition New Patriotic Party, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has reaffirmed his commitment to implement the party's flagship policy plan of one district, one factory, if elected president in the December polls. The third-time presidential hopeful has pledged to allocate $1 million to each district as a seed money to help realize the much-talked-about policy. And Akufo-Addo said this on Tuesday when the New Patriotic Party officially started its campaign in the Greater Accra region. Latif Idris was with the team and has come through with this report.
It is interesting now developments here at the Pantan Nurses Training School at Medina, where you can see on the campaign platform, nurses of this institution have mounted the campaign platform, campaigning for the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party. Nana Addo has promised to reinstate these allowances if elected as president. So that is what has gotten these trainee nurses to mount the campaign platform to rally behind the flag bearer of the opposition New Patriotic Party.
I am the New Patriotic Party's flag bearer. We all know what lies ahead of us this December. We will be going to the polls. I lead the New Patriotic Party towards this charge. I've been everywhere in the Volta region, the Eastern Ashanti, Northern, and all other regions. And we are now here in the Greater Accra region. We had to seek your permission so you allow us preach our message to the masses. We sit on a lot of resources, but we are still hungry. I am one of your own. The region is my home. We should have been far ahead, but we haven't got the right government the past 8 years to bring the necessary development into this country. It has caused untold hardships on our people and caused severe problems for the youth in the country. So this has to be our key concern, our key focus during this election. And I and the New Patriotic Party is focused on transforming this country and making the lives of the individuals better.
Oil. Because I have was caffeine body behind me. They been me for me. But fair body go to be about how many nurses training allowances, teacher training allowances. I kept because we need this the human capital in Ghana.
Now the running mate of the flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has also been speaking on the economy and how the NPP, if elected, is the flag bearer, if elected president, how they are going to prioritize healthcare delivery and also reinstate the allowances for teachers and nurses who are undergoing training in the country. We can take a listen to the running mate of the NPP, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
We are going to build a new economy, and we are going to build an economy that is going to create jobs. We have a plan to solve unemployment. You will see a major change in the agricultural sector. You will see a major change in industrialization, underpinned by our one district, one factory policy. You will see that we are going to reduce taxes.
And away from the New Patriotic Party, let's shift our attention to the National Democratic Congress. And Chief of Staff Julius Debra has reiterated the governing NDC's commitment to continue to embark on massive infrastructure development projects in the next 4 years if retained in power. Speaking to the people of Wichao and Dorimo traditional areas in the Upper West region, Julius Debra said government will ensure that more is done in the areas of water and electricity provision, health, as well as education to several communities in the region if given another mandate. He gave the assurance at separate meetings with chiefs from Wichao and Dorimo when he paid a call on them in their respective areas. Rafiq Salam has more.
Chief of Staff Julius Debra first paid a courtesy call on the Wichao Traditional Council, armed with a message of the campaign manifesto of the National Democratic Congress that was launched last Saturday. Before he spoke of the intention of the government and its bid to revamp the agriculture sector of the country by the introduction of agri-mechanization centers, Meteona Bandana, on behalf of the Wichaona, poured laudations and encomiums on the government for the numerous development projects given to the traditional area. He however mentioned some few challenges they are grappling with in the road, water and education sector. Chief of Staff Julius Debra appealed to the people to vote massively for the party to enable it to retain power to continue with its good works. He later interacted with chiefs of the Dorimo traditional area, where the paramount chief, Nasongmaninya Danagoro II, expressed concern over the slow pace of work at the Community Day Secondary School.
We would like to thank the President for the Day Senior High School being put up. Others have completed their jobs, but ours is not yet completed. I hope when you were coming from Wichao, you stopped there. It is still to see its end, and I hope you will take it very seriously.
Julius Debra assured the people that the development projects dotted around the area is only a tip of the iceberg, and given the opportunity, they will do more.
In my language, they say, the one who will give you the little he's got is the one who will give you more when he's got it. During his first term, to show his love to your people, that's why he's giving you the community day school and the water system as a gesture of his goodwill. I can guarantee and I can assure you that with this relationship, if you let him have his second term, he will be able to add more things to the little that he started. And by the way,
Portal for J News, Rafik Salam, Wochao.
Well, away from politics now, and the acting Indian High Commissioner to Ghana, Pradeep Kumar Gupta, says his outfit is working to resolve the controversy surrounding the erection of a Mahatma Gandhi statue on the University of Ghana campus. The mounting of the statue has received widespread criticism from a number of persons, including lecturers of the university, who are demanding the removal of it. But speaking on the sidelines of the commissioning of the Dr. Agarwal's Eye Hospital in Accra, the Indian High Commissioner to Ghana said an amicable solution to the many concerns raised is being worked on. He's been speaking to my colleague Maxwell Agbagba.
We are taking it up with the concerned authorities and hope the matter will be resolved.
But how do you feel about it as the High Commissioner to Ghana, acting High Commissioner to Ghana?
I feel as any High Commissioner, any representative of India should feel about Gandhi, because Gandhi is our father of the nation. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so do you feel bad that some people, some Ghanaians, some students in the university are calling?
It happens everywhere. In this democracy, there is a freedom of expression, speech and expression. So anybody can express their feeling about any personality, any feeling. So there is nothing like feeling good or bad. The only thing is to resolve it amicably, which we will do, which will be done.
Okay, but as an Indian, if you hear comments about Mahatma Gandhi, people saying that he was a racist, he was a pedophile and all of that, how do you feel about it as an Indian?
I told you that everybody has a freedom of speech and expression. So it is one of the opinion, and we have to see how can we best resolve the issue.
Now, he's a global icon and still celebrated for his achievements and struggle to liberate Ghana from the colonialists. It is his birthday today. He is dead, but his achievements are still alive. Now, on a special day like this, Joy News' Maxwell Agbagba brings us the story about Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's life and how some young people still draw inspiration from him decades after his death. Well, we'll bring you that story a bit later on. But even as we celebrate Dr. Kwame Nkrumah today, the question my colleague Benes Abubedo has been seeking answers to is how well you know Ghana's first president. But don't answer yet, because you may well be part of the many who failed her simple test. Here goes.
What's your name?
I'm Victoria.
Victoria, today's Founders Day. How well do you think you know Dr. Kwame Nkrumah?
Well, I know first of all, he was the first Prime Minister of Ghana, and he was the one who actually got independence for Ghana.
Dr. Kwame Nkrumah attended Oxford University, true or false?
I think it might be true, because I know he attended majority of the big schools in Europe.
True.
It's true. True. True.
True. True. True.
A bit true.
Really? I don't think I know that. Let's see how well Stephanie from Germany knows Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah attended Oxford University, true or false?
True.
Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was born in 1901, true or false?
1901. I have no idea.
True or false?
I can't tell. I mean, I'll definitely, maybe, I can't tell. I don't know.
True.
True.
False.
False.
True. Do you know Kwame Nkrumah very well?
Why not?
Okay. He was born in 1901, true or false?
He was born in 1909.
Okay. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was a co-president of Guinea, true or false?
False. True.
Co-president of Guinea, it's true.
I think that one is true.
True.
False. False.
True.
Co-president. False.
Nana Kwame, how well do you think you know Dr. Kwame Nkrumah? Today is Founders Day, you know.
Yeah, Kwame Nkrumah, maybe like 78.
78%, you know him to that level. Okay, so let's do it. Let's see how well he does with 78% knowledge of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah attended Oxford University, true or false?
True.
Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was once a lecturer, true or false?
True.
Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was once co-president of Guinea. True or false?
False.
Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was born in 1901. True or false?
True.
Well, I don't know how many of those questions you got the right answers to, but I believe at this point, Google is your best friend. You're still watching News Today here on your Joy News channel, Multi TV. We're taking a break. When we come back, we'll bring you some business. Stay with us.